Welcome to the DO Boxing Show. I'm your host, Dameon Okposio. Thanks for tuning in to another episode. And in this episode, we're going to be breaking down one of the biggest fights in Canada for 2017, which is going to be the fight between David Lemieux and Billy Joe Saunders for the WBO middleweight title that's going to be taking place on Saturday, December 16, 2017 at the Place Bell in Laval, Quebec. And Laval, Quebec is approximately a 1 hour flight from Pearson Airport, or approximately a 6 hour drive from the GTA. So I'm looking forward to actually being at the fight because it's right in our backyard and it's going to be a fight with huge implications in the international boxing scene. The two great fighters coming up in Billy Joe Saunders and David Lemieux, which means it's going to be an exciting matchup. If you don't know too much about either of the fighters, I'm going to break down a little bit about who they are and how I see the fight as unfolding. So it's going to be, again, Saturday, December the 16th, 2017. It's gonna be at the Place Bell in Laval, Quebec, and the tickets are going to be on sale on Saturday, October the 28th, 2017 at 12 p.m. and you can get it through www.evenco.ca, EVENKO.ca. Look in the comment section or in the description section of this video on YouTube to be able to get that link and that information. So when we're talking about David Lemieux, the middleweight that was born in Montreal, Quebec, and is on the international scene, an active middleweight fighter. He's 38-3 with 33 knockouts. He's got a lot of power, and he's 28 years old, which is the same as Billy Joe Saunders. So both of these gentlemen are just hitting their primes. So we're going to be seeing the best versions of both of these fighters. David Lemieux started boxing at the age of 9, and he had an extensive amateur career. I became aware of David Lemieux. He came onto my radar because a young amateur fighter that I used to sponsor, Donald Wombolt, who is also on the selection committee for the Ontario Boxing Hall of Fame, a boxing memorabilia collector, great strategist, great coach, great videographer, and photographer. He fought David Lemieux as an amateur, and that's kind of what put David Lemieux on my radar. And I saw how good David Lemieux was, even as an amateur, his natural power, his willingness to always fight. And I thought, oh, you know, this guy's going to do something. He was being trained by, I believe, Russ Amber at that time. And now David Lemieux is being trained by Mark Ramsey. David Lemieux, you know, he opted, there was... I remember back at the time when he was going to be turning professional, because he turned professional at 18 years old, and he was ready to turn professional even before that at 17, but I believe he had to wait until he was 18 because of the Canadian professional boxing rules. But I remember there was an interview at that time, back when he was being brought along, and I believe that he opted not to go to the Olympics, not to even try for the Olympics, because he didn't want to waste valuable time training to be a professional in fighting the international fights. And so he kind of had his destination in his mind, even at that young age. And as you've seen, he's a very strong person mentally because he's fulfilled where he's wanted to go with being an international fighter, winning the IBF world title, plus multiple other regional titles. The other thing I wanted to say, too, along with this episode, is the importance of the regional titles, because the regional titles put you in the rankings of the world titles. So sometimes you'll see international titles, intercontinental titles, those will put you on the radar. Just like the NABF title is a regional title for the IBF, or the NABO regional title is a title that will get you ranked with the WBO. So there's different titles that will put you on the radar or in the ranking system of the world title, which assists you in getting a world title shot. So in the case with David Lemieux, he's won numerous regional titles, but the most significant two was in his knockout win this year of Curtis Stevens, where he was able to earn the WBC Continental America's Middleweight Championship, and he also won the WBO Intercontinental Middleweight Championship with that Curtis Stevens victory. David Lemieux stands at 5'9", which is just a little bit shorter than Billy Joe Saunders, who's listed at 5'11". And I would say that the top three opponents that David Lemieux has fought has been Gennady Golovkin, Curtis Stevens, and Hassam Nadam Najikam. And Nadam Najikam is where David Lemieux won his IBF middleweight title. I may even rank him above Curtis Stevens because Nadam actually defeated Curtis Stevens. Nadam has a good resume, is a very active fighter as well. So David Lemieux has been impressive in terms of his resume and the quality of the fighters that he's fought, and he has improved over the years. Since his defeat to Joshua Malsine, he has looked better in fights. Endurance has looked better, and that was evident in his winning of the IBF title, and even recently in his defeat of Marcus Reyes. Sorry, I might not even be getting his opponent's name right, but in his recent wins where he's won not only a decision, but a unanimous decision in the victories that do go the distance in his recent fights. When it comes to Billy Joe Saunders, Billy Joe Saunders is a really good technical boxer. I think his biggest win now to date would be his defeat of Willie Monroe Jr. Willie Monroe Jr. is a very, very good boxer. And I would say maybe the top three people that Billy Joe Saunders has fought is going to be Willie Monroe Jr., Andy Lee, who he took the WBO title in that match, and Chris Eubank Jr., and who he fought Chris Eubank Jr. when Chris Eubank Jr. was undefeated. Billy Joe Saunders, I would say, technically he's very sound. A lot of the good qualities about Billy Joe Saunders is that he will stay in the pocket and fight. As a matter of fact, as a boxer and as a slick boxer, he doesn't necessarily always use his feet. He can stand right in front of opponent and make them miss with his movements with his torso. And sometimes if he feels confident, he will even walk down his opponent while boxing them as well in terms of using lateral movement going from side to side. The things that I notice about Billy Joe Saunders is sometimes he has a very twitchy hand movement where his hands will shake before he throws. So I feel sometimes maybe he can telegraph his punches and misses his opponents that way. He missed Willie Monroe Jr. with a lot of punches. He also connected with a lot of punches, but that might be something that makes opponents more conscious and able to read what he's going to throw. And also with Billy Joe Saunders, he drops his hand sometimes. And when he gets tired, he's more susceptible to be getting hit in the later rounds, but he will hold, and he does know when to hold, and he knows how to hold and tie a fighter up. I believe in the fight that it's going to be a bit of a chess match of a boxing match. I think Billy Joe Saunders may have some success early in the fight. I think he's going to be elusive while he's fresh, but if he starts to lower his hands, I think that'll be a mistake. I think for the David Lemieux fight, I think he'll be very conscious of that and probably work to keep his hands up throughout the entire fight and be mentally conscious of that, and his corner will advise him of that as well. I think maybe he might utilize a little bit more foot movement than he normally does with other opponents that he's had, especially when he feels the power of David Lemieux, but I believe that David Lemieux's power is actually going to wear him down. Even if he is defending, I believe that it's going to take a toll physically on his body, and Billy Joe Saunders can be hit later on in a fight. So I think that David Lemieux is going to be able to weather the punches that Billy Joe Saunders can throw. I don't know if Billy Joe Saunders is going to be able to sustain or withstand the punishment that David Lemieux can dish out, especially in the later rounds. When Billy Joe Saunders was caught late in the fight by Chris Eubank Jr., and he was hit with multiple uppercuts, I think that the fight would be over if he was hit with those uppercuts by David Lemieux. So it's going to be a very, very interesting and exciting fight. Can Billy Joe Saunders be perfect for the entire fight? Because if he can, it's going to be impressive, and it's going to put him on another level, and I think would definitely line him up and create some excitement if he were to pursue a fight with Gennady Golovkin, or the winner, if that happens to be Canelo Alvarez. In either way, it's going to be exciting. These 4 fighters are very exciting to watch, and it's going to be a great matchup between David Lemieux and Billy Joe Saunders. In my opinion, I believe that David Lemieux is going to win this fight, and I believe that he will likely stop Billy Joe Saunders in round 10 or round 11, either by Billy Joe Saunders quitting or getting knocked out, and I think it's going to be a tremendous fight regardless. Tickets, again, go on sale Saturday, October 28th, 2017. A little bit more background on Billy Joe Saunders that I forgot to mention. He was also a 2008 Olympian. He went to the Beijing Olympics, but he only made it to, I believe, the second round, did not medal, but he has a vast amount of amateur experience as well, and that does play into dealing with adversity when you're a professional fighter, because you've seen a lot of different looks and you face some of the best fighters as an amateur. But again, the pro game is a different game. Both of these guys are seasoned professionals, and David Lemieux is a very seasoned professional against great opposition, not just good opposition. Remember, if you have any questions related to boxing, send us a message through Twitter at DOKPOSIO, through email at okposio@hotmail.com, and don't forget to subscribe to get every episode of the DO Boxing Show. Hope you enjoyed this episode, my breakdown analysis. Don't forget to get your tickets from Evenko, EVENKO.ca. Thanks for tuning into this episode, and we'll catch you on the next one.